Hi, welcome. On this video, I'd like to discuss one of the most challenging and difficult aspects of the dog and human dynamic. I talk about the issue of depth, of just how profound and deep this connection is that dogs share with us at this level, at the nature level. It really challenges so much, including, again, I go right into talking about this learning-based narrative, the learning-based roadmap as the problem. Okay, it steps on just about everybody's toes, because the thing is, the majority of trainers and what has been promoted through what I define as mainstream dog training, through this narrative, that's what is the default or the go-to narrative. That's what so many have invested in, is in this appearance-based narrative, without understanding what's really going on, being able to put things into proper context, being able to look through this relational lens in such a way that you're able to not just control the outcome, okay, be very intentional about that, but understand when the blame starts to shift, or the focus begins to shift as to what's happening here. Why is it that the behavior issues aren't resolving themselves, or why is it that this group of people are successful and this other group is not, even while, okay, they're using the exact same approach, the exact same device, the exact same narrative, using treats or whatever. You can add whatever you want in there, but you're going to see, and this is where when I talk about the ethics involved here, kind of the moral compass of mainstream dog training, this is where there's a major problem, okay? And this is where, again, years ago, when I saw these contradictions, when I saw these this breakdown, I had to step back and ask some really tough questions as to, okay, there's a major problem here, and either it's something to do with the dogs, or there's something with the approach here. There's something that isn't lining up. But the thing is, here's the thing to understand: you have to get outside the box. You have to break free from that which holds you back from seeing this relational aspect. Okay, you have to be able to put the pieces together, because even though things will look inconsistent, they're really not. Okay, they're actually, the breakdowns are consistent in such a way that you're going to be able to tie in the relational aspect through the person themselves. The person is going to come on into the spotlight, okay, regarding their role, and in a way that represents the depth of what that represents through the personality type of that person. Okay, you'll be able to see these how this lines up in such a way that it begins to make complete sense. But here's the problem, and this is really something that you have to, you cannot not talk about it, because of what's been embraced through mainstream dog training, and how deceptive things can be based on how people think. It's become so popular, this narrative has become so popular, that even to talk about it challenges people in such a way that they don't even want to hear it, okay, because it changes the narrative, it changes the focus on the person differently, and when you consider the fact that the majority of dog trainers have invested in this learning narrative at a certain level, okay, it's like most of them can't even handle this conversation, even though, look at the massive problems, and I'll continue to talk about just how massive the problems are, but mainstream dog training is in a complete state of denial. I want people to understand that. For me, when I look at what's happening in the dog training world, there are no accidents or coincidences, okay? It all makes complete sense. I can look at what's going on. I can even look at these debates between these balanced and pure positive trainers, however you want to define them, but they're all invested in the problem, okay? They've all come into agreement with it at some level. So the reason the only way that dog training, or that the situation is going to get any better, is for people to begin to pay attention to what's really happening. So, but here's the thing, okay? You look at, again, things can appear to be, and this is the problem, things can actually appear to make sense, okay? When and some of the setup here, okay, with how these dynamics play off each other as the person, because understand something here, everything filters through relationally, okay? So much about the person, their personality type, how you think, okay, that is critical to get a sense of that. Because here's the thing too, when you look at, and you'll see it, okay, if you're really being objective and you apply, some critical thinking, and you'll see people failing, okay, you'll see these little subgroups, but you'll see it, and you'll ask the question, why is it that this person or that person's successful using a certain methodology, device, whatever you want to put in there, but this other group isn't, okay? Even though it looks good, it can look fantastic in the training environment, but when you look at the behavior issues and problems, and again this issue about understanding the context of control, okay, but you'll see it, you'll say, this ain't adding up here, there's something wrong. Is it really? But the question is it really, it comes down to, is it really the dog's fault? And what I've come to the conclusion, absolutely not. Okay, this is the problem, because the value dogs at this level that we're at right now in society, the value subscribed to animals, the dogs, only extend as far as the ideology allows. I say ideology because it's not science. Okay, it's a belief system, because it will not, allow itself to be challenged in a meaningful way. And this is why you're getting all this debate and all these things going on. But the thing I would really encourage people to think about is truly focusing in on the individual, okay? Because this is the problem in the dog training world, is that if I'm just overly self-focused on just me and my method myself, I'm going to miss it, okay? Because any dog that I'm personally train, whether I use treats or not, and I get into that whole thing with there's a spectrum there to understand how these things play out, but any dog that I personally train, relational change is going to happen. Okay, I say relational change because that's what the process really is. That's going to happen. Whereas people coming to me, okay, are not going to be so fortunate, okay, based on where they're currently at, how they're currently thinking, and based on what the approach I'm using, what that represents in terms of changing their thinking, okay? But then getting into the actual specifics of the method. So I'd really encourage you to think about that. But if you look at this system, from the appearance of things, you could look at what I do as just another type of adversive method and all these different things, whatever spin people want to put in. But I would encourage you to really pay attention to what I'm saying. Really look at the methodology that I'm putting forward. It's specific. It's very intentional, specific to change. I engage in the process differently, okay, as a relational changing process. Even again, the context of influence, all those different things, how they all come together to create change. It answers the core questions. And so again, if you're really looking for answers, you really care about your dog, and I say that because people that cycle through all these different methods, that becomes the main problem, is that you end up in worse shape sometimes, because you're like, well, nothing's working. Because it has to be, again, everything matters. Everything has meaning in it. Everything needs to come together in a way that's going to truly guarantee or make sure that relational change is going to happen, that you have the right information. So again, I encourage you, check out the system. It's based on the foundation of understanding the depth of what's really happening, okay, on what the process really is. It's not a learning-based exercise, although that's what is popular, okay, mainstream dog training promotes. But if you look at the massive problems happening in the dog training world and the numbers of dogs being destroyed, that's just based on the culture, what's been established and what people come into agreement with. So again, check out my videos. I have lots of great information, lots of free information, free videos out there. I encourage you to check them out. Thanks for watching.